Okay, guys, let's review for quiz 1C over scientific notation. So let's first begin with writing these numbers in proper scientific notation. So notice that this coefficient is not between 1 and 10. Our coefficient always has to be between 1 and 10 and cannot go over 10. So we're going to move the decimal and we're going to make the coefficient decrease to 6.28. So I decreased the coefficient, so we have to keep it balanced and increase the exponent. So we have an exponent of 6. Our next problem, again, we need to fix this coefficient so it's between 1 and 10. So we're going to move the decimal. And so again, we decreased the coefficient. So we are going to increase our exponent. Now be careful with negatives. To increase -5 by 1, we get -4. Our third example, this time our coefficient is less than 1, so we're going to move the decimal to the right and make it 6.28. So we increase the coefficient this time, so we have to decrease the exponent by 1. Our last example, we're going to move the decimal, so our coefficient is between 1 and 10. So again, we increased the coefficient, so we are going to decrease the exponent by 1. So to decrease -5 by 1 to go down, our exponent is going to be -6. So be careful when working with negatives. Now we're going to multiply and then write in proper scientific notation. So to multiply, we simply multiply the coefficients. 6.2 times 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 6 is 24. We have one decimal space. So we have 24.8 times 10 to the, we're going to add our exponents and get 7. But notice the coefficient needs to be between 1 and 10 without going over 10. So we need to decrease our coefficient from 24.8 to 2.48. Then we're going to keep our scientific notation balanced and increase the exponent by 1. The next problem, we have 2.8 times 3. So we have 2.8 times 3. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. And we have one decimal place. So we have 8.4 times 10. And we're going to add the exponents. Now this time, 8.4, our coefficient does come between 1 and 10, so we don't have to modify it. So this is our final answer. Now let's take a look at division. We're going to divide our coefficients, and then we're going to use the quotient rule and subtract our exponents. So first of all, we have 4.8 divided by 2, so the top goes in the box, top in the box. 2 divided into 4 is 2. Bring up our decimal here. And 2 divided into 8 is 4. So we have 2.4 times 10, and we're going to subtract top exponent minus the bottom. That gives us positive 4. 2.4 is between 1 and 10 on the number line, so we do not have to modify anything. We're good to go there. Our next example, we are going to divide coefficients and subtract our exponents, top minus the bottom. So when we're dividing here, 6.8 divided by 8. And I'm going to change this. I think this should have been 6.4. So let's change that right quick. 6.4. So we have 8 divided into 6.4. 8 can't go into 6. 8 goes into 64, 8. So our coefficient is 0.8 times 10. Now let's take the time to write out -7 minus -3. -7 minus -3. So when we subtract, I like to say keep, change, change, and we get -4. Now 0.8 is not between 1 and 10. It's less than 1. So we need to move our decimal to make it an 8. So I increased the coefficient. So we need to decrease our exponent. And we're working with negatives here. So to decrease -4 by 1, we're going to get -5. Okay, now with adding and subtracting, folks, we are going to have to write out our scientific and standard form, line up the decimals, add, and then put our answer into scientific notation. So 6.2, here's the decimal. We're going to move it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus we have the 4, the understood decimals here. We're going to move it 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I moved it 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to add these together. So we have to line up the decimals, and we have to line up our zeros nice and neat. So we have 40,000. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, and then the 4. So the understood decimals are at the end here. 0 plus 0, 0, 0, 0, 2 plus 4 is 6, and 6. So we're going to write it in scientific. So we move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, let's add these together. Again, we're going to put our scientific into standard form. So I have 2.8. The decimal is right here. We're going to move it to the left because our exponent is negative. So I'll move it 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here we have 3. The decimal is behind the 3. We move it 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're going to line up our decimals. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3. And we are adding 8 plus 3 is 11, carry your 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. We have 0, 0, 0, our decimal, and 0. So in scientific notation, we're going to move it 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's negative because we moved our decimal to the right. We had a very small number. Okay, let's try some subtraction. Again, with subtraction, we're going to have to convert these to standard, line up the decimal, and then subtract. So we have 6.2. We move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 minus. The decimal's behind the 4, so we move it 4 times. Now we have to line up our decimals. And our decimals are at the end. So when I write my second number, I just start and write it this way. So everything lines up. So I have 4 zeros, the number 4, and we are subtracting. 0 from 0, 0 minus 0, 0 minus 0, 0 minus 0. We can't subtract 2 minus 4, so we're going to borrow from the 6, make it a 5, make that 2 become 12. 12 minus 4 is 8, and bring down the 5. We write it in scientific, 8.8 times 10 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, here we have 2.8 times 10 to the negative 4. Our decimals between the 2 and the 8, we're going to move it to the left 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal. Minus, we have 3. The decimal is behind the 3. We move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to line up decimals. We have 1, 2, 3, 2, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 3, and we are subtracting. 8 minus 3 is 5, 2 minus 0 is 2, 0, 0, 0, decimal, and 0. In scientific notation, 2.5 times 10 to the negative, because I have a small number, moving the decimal to the right. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I hope this helps.